everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Bible with the Daily Temple. Last time Bible chapter Z, we looked at chapter 31 of Numbers. Vengeance on the Midianites, for he killed the Midianites, took their women and their stuff and burned it all. Some people were greedy and they kept it, so he probably killed them too. But today, we'll be looking at chapter 32 of Numbers. The Trans-Jordan tribes. The Reubenites and the Gadites, who had very large herds and flocks, thought the lands of Jazer and Gilead was suitable for livestock. So they came to Moses and Eleazar the priest, and to the leaders of the community, and said, Eroth, Don, Jazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Elileh, Sebam, Nebo, and beyond. The land of the Lord subdued before the people of Israel are suitable for livestock, and your servants have livestock. If we have found favors in your eyes, they said, let this land be given to your servants as our possession. Do not make us cross the Jordan. Moses said to the Gadites and Reubenites, should your fellow Israelites go to war while you sit here? Why do you discourage the Israelites from crossing over to the land the Lord has given them? This is what your fathers did when I sent them back from Kadesh Barnea to look over the land. After they went up to the valley of Eshcol and viewed the land, they discouraged the Israelites from entering the land the Lord had given them. The Lord's anger was aroused that day, and he swore this oath. Because they have not followed me wholeheartedly, not one of those who were 20 years old or more when they came out of Egypt will see the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not one, except Caleb son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, and Joshua son of Nun, for they followed the Lord wholeheartedly. The Lord's anger burned against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness for 40 years, until the generation of those who had done evil in his sight were gone. And here you are, you fools, a brood of sinners, standing in the place of your fathers and making the Lord even more angry with Israel. If you turn away from following him, he will leave all his people in the wilderness, and you will be the cause of their destruction. Then they came up to him and said, we would like to build pens here for our livestock and cities for our women and children, but we will arm ourselves for battle and go ahead of the Israelites until we have brought them to their place. Meanwhile, our women and children will live in the fortified cities for protection from the inhabitants of the land. We will not return to our homes until each of the Israelites have received their inheritance. We will not receive the inheritance with them on the other side of the Jordan, because our inheritance has come to us on the east side of Jordan. Then Moses said to them, if you will do this, if you will arm yourselves before the Lord for battle, and if all of you who are armed cross over the Jordan before the Lord until he has driven his enemies out before him, then, when the land is subdued before the Lord, you may return and be free from your obligation to the Lord and to Israel. And this land will be your possession before the Lord. But if you fail to do this, you would be sinning against the Lord, and you may be sure that your sin will find you out. Build cities for your women and children, and pens for your flocks. But do what you have promised. The Gadites and Reubenites said to Moses, we, your servants, would do as our Lord commands. Our children and our wives, our flocks and herds will remain here in the cities of Gilead. But your servants, every man who is armed for battle, will cross over to fight before the Lord, just as our Lord says. Then Moses gave orders about them to Eleazar the priest and Joshua son of Nun, and to the family heads of the Israelite tribes. He said to them, "If the Gadites, and Reubenites, every man armed for battle, crossed over the Jordan with you before the Lord, then when the lion of Judah before you, you must give them the land of Gilead as their possession. But if they do not cross over you with their armed, they must accept their possession with you in Canaan." The Gadites and Reubenites answered, "Your servants will do what the Lord has said. We will cross over before the Lord into Canaan armed, but the property we will inherit will be on his side of the Jordan." Then Moses gave the Gadites and the Reubenites, and half the tribe of Manasseh, son of Joseph, the king of Sihon, king of Amorites, and the kingdom of the Og, the king of Bashan, the whole lands, with its cities and territories around them. The Gadites built up Dibon, Ataroth, Aroer, Atroth, Shofan, Jazer, Jogbehah, Beth Nimrah, and Beth Haran as fortified cities, and built pens for their flocks. And the Reubenites rebuilt Heshbon, Eliah, and Kiriathaim, as well as then Nebo and Baal-meon. These names were changed, and Sibmah. They gave names to cities they rebuilt. The descendants of Machir, son of Manasseh, went to Gilead, captured it, and drove out the Amorites who were there. So Moses gave Gilead to the Machirites, the descendants of Manasseh, and they settled there. Jair, a descendant of Manasseh, captured their settlements and called them Havoth Jair. And Noba captured Canath and its surrounding settlements and called it Noba after himself, the egotistical guy. Anyways, guys, thank you all for listening. It's been a pleasure. I am the Daily Dabble, and this is the